Well, for whatever reason, it seems that all the 2v2 games that I'm finding at the moment are on this damn Golgotha depths, where we've got only one power farm. And a lot of frantic fights over the contested powers. And the frantic fights over the contested powers this time are going to be between Dark Riku and his Apothecary, his original main, by the way, and Broodwich and his Farseer over on this side. And on the other side, we've got Inekura playing as the brother captain, going up against Sandu Chorba and their mech boy. Sandu Chorba is Blood Rain. So we've got Blood Rain and Broodwich as the Xenos this time versus the Imperial Space Marines, Dark Riku and Inekura. So we'll see how they fare. You know, it's weird on this map how this garrison feels a million times better than this garrison. I mean, if you're in this garrison, you can kind of cover this node. You can't cover it from here, which seems kind of unfair. Definitely an advantage to red team there. So scouts have left the engagement. They're going to be capping the mid VP. Mechboy doing a good job forcing off the IST there, and a good flank with burner sluggers upgraded, the extra HP and the power melee damage. Even with a nice special attack like that, the strike squad are going to be in a pretty bad way. And in fact, that's a really bad start for Inekura. We're going to be losing 2 strike squad models right away. And I don't know how long the brother captain can stay in here for. He might get lucky and get a nice special attack, but he kind of needs to. With a War calling in, and then the damage and speed boost in an AoE, that's going to be a bad time for the Burcap. We'll see if he falls. Looks like he just managed to get out of there. Super close. He does get back to the base, and on this side here, the Tactical Marine is going to be bullying some Guardians in melee, as they do so well. But knocked over by the Farseer there. Quite a lucky special, really. But it opens up a nice situation for the Banshees on retreat path. Boosted damage from the guide. Claim a Tactical Space Marine model, but the whole time, Scouts have been doing a good job capping. They've got the central power. They've caught the central VP, and now going to be going for the natural VP. Now, if you tuned into many of my 2v2 casts on this map, you'll notice that in the late game it really does come down to a big grind in the middle about VPs, and for that reason, anything that you can do in the early game to try and bleed your opponent's VPs, any sneaky back caps on these VPs, and note that the blue team don't even have their natural right now thanks to the mech boy, any of those players become exceptionally valuable. So hopefully Broodwich pulls back and deals with these scouts who are going kind of crazy. Now going to be moving on to the natural wreck point on that side, and it looks like the blue team in fact are going to be using this very annoying advantageous red garrison for their advantage right now. Can deal with the shooters and the storm boys relatively well with the purgation in the garrison, but not the sluggers so much. They're going to be problematic thanks to their burners and their burn to house ability. Banshee's going to be catching the scouts over here, forcing them off. It looks like the Storm Boys are going to be routing as well. And just a lot of garrison camping for now. There's going to be a lot of that in Tier 1, obviously, as the game escalates and we escalate the power of the weaponry that we're bringing on board. Garrisons are going to become less and less relevant. But for now, garrisons are a problem. There's going to be a lot of abuse of garrisons to avoid melee combat from both sides. ISC walking straight out in the open there into double shooters with big shooters is not going to be a good situation for them, instantly losing a model and having to back off. Perhaps leading with the brother captain and all of his tanky gloriness might be a better idea. Is that the scouts again? No, this is a strike squad who have actually just lost a model. Wow, that's really unlucky. They've got like 2/3 of their HP and 2 out of 3 models. Damn. Very unfortunate for poor Inekura. And what's going on for Riku? Where's his ASM? Okay, his ASM are over by the VP, so he's kind of just stalling right now with attacks, which is fine, because obviously they don't want to be pushing against double shurikens here for Broodwich. Any Doombringer? Indeed, we have the Doombringer as well in the Farseer, which will help her with counter-initiating the ASM alongside the Banshees. We've got a gen dropped in the middle, presumably... Oh no, by Inekura, not by Dark Riku. But I don't think Dark Riku's going to be able to defend that. No, he knows he isn't. He's got Purification rights to support his ASM, but with a Doombringer there, that kind of offsets that. So Banshees will ordinarily beat the ASM, But then if there's Rights, the ASM will win. But then if there's Doombringer, the ASM will win even against Rights. Sorry, the Banshees will win even against ASM with Rights. So this looks like an okay engagement, actually. Kind of catching the Shuriken out of position. You've got a Shotgun Blast ready here to use onto the Banshees. And there will be another jump soon for the ASM. This is the beautiful thing with the ASM. They get that second jump so conveniently. It makes them exceptionally effective against double setup teams, at least compared to other jump squads. Now looking over on this side of the map, things seem to be going very poorly for Inekura. Just lost his Stormtrooper squad. Gonna be losing another couple of Grey Knight Strike Squad models. Hoping for some specials it seems, but didn't proc any against the Storm Boys, and that meant they got wrecked by that power melee DPS. We've got a Death Gun here for Blood Rain's Mech Boy. A very strange choice, really, given that he's up against a Brother Captain who is, of course, immune to suppression. Quite easy for him to be tying that Death Gun up. The Death Gun's damage is much lower than most of the setup teams, well, basically all of the setup teams. Which, you know, you can kind of expect, given the fact that he can teleport. I'm not really going to be having much success here. The Purgation free to close in on the shooters, keep them suppressed. The Strike Squad actually probably going to kill the Mech Boy here. Kind of an over-ambitious setup. Indeed, he does slay the Mech Boy, and now Strike Squad are in the retreat path. Not a great position here for these shooters. This guy's probably dead. Yep. Not a huge deal for Blood Rain. Going to be losing, what is that, 6 Shooter Boy models in general. A decent amount of bleed, but not the end of the world. Let's see if these scouts can get out of here just fine. That scout there eating a grenade and going to be losing a model. Going to return the favour. The scout grenade, though, not finding its mark, unfortunately. Now, Broodwich is fast here is on the wrong side of the map right now to get any sort of revive. Probably wants to be transitioning down to the mid, especially since the blue team have retained the generator in the middle here, which is the only generator on any contested power node. There's not been any real attempts at bashing from either side onto the natural power farm, so actually we do see our players are advancing in tech quite quickly. Broodwich going tier 2. Inekura, well in tier 2, already has a Terminator Librarian on the field. Inekura, obviously, with this build, really didn't spend a lot of power at all. No war gear upgrades at all on the Brother Captain. You see, we've got war gear for all of the other heroes. In fact, the Apothecary here picked up the Sanguine Chainsword in tier 1. Also grabbed the Armour of Purity now as well in tier 2. So he's going to be able to spam out those heals, which obviously has good synergy with the Purification Rites, making the heals even stronger. No Justicar right now on the Strike Squad, so they have to be very careful against the Banshees, but the combination of the Strike Squad and the ASM may indeed be able to take on the Banshees. Let's find out. There you go, you got that Purification Rites heal, going to be disrupting the Banshees, doing quite a bit of damage. Doom is on the Strike Squad though, so the Strike Squad probably want to get out of here, but really good support here from both the players, making sure they each dealt with each of the suppression teams. And that's going to be a victory there for the blue team. Where is Blood Rain to support? A little bit slow on the maneuver. I'm not sure if the Farseer did get the revive on the Mech Boy or not. I would assume she probably did. This is a lot of melee. Do we have any knobs coming yet, though? No, we don't have any knobs yet. So it looks like the Apothecary is going to get out of there. And yeah, the ASM are going to retreat as well. In fact, the Apo is not going to get out of there. A lot of speed buffs right now, thanks to the War from the boys here. All 4 squads of Orc boys going to be warring, giving a pretty significant damage and speed buff to the lot of them. Shame the Terminator Librarian wasn't there then. Could have used his Sanctuary and saved that allied Apothecary. A lot of resources for a lot of players right now. As usual for Golgoth Adepts, we've got a float of requisition and not enough power. But Inekura's economy looking fairly balanced. I'm curious what he's going to go for. Perhaps just trying to go for some sort of tier 3 tech, I'm not sure. Now it's going to be a Grey Knight Dreadnought, so that thing comes out by default with an Inferno Cannon. And honestly, the timing wise, it's not looking that bad. You might actually get a push with that onto the enemy gen farm, which could be quite influential for the late game. And actually, it's probably going to be quite important, because right now it looks like the red team are going to get a beautiful... I don't know how that didn't kill that guy. Or was he on the other side? That would explain it. You can see it looks like the red team are going to get a beautiful little gem bash off right now. We've got Strike Squad moving down to intercept them, but again, no Justicar on the Strike Squad. So without the Justicar, the Strike Squad cannot beat this Slugger Boy squad in melee. No chance, not even close. I'm not sure. I think with the Justicar they probably can. Might come down to specials, not sure. Very close timing there on the retreat with the Shooter Boys. Had he waited a little bit longer, that might have been the end of some of his shooters because it would have caused knockback. We're going to see P-Dev here from Riku. Makes sense. Good use of his requisition. We've actually got very sneaky Purgation flanked all the way past, since Inekura knew that Blood Rain had all of his Orc resources down on this side of the map, so he could sneak the Purgation through and get a gem bash off, and that's going to be really, really important. Now the Dreadnought can be a little bit more conservative. We've yet to see what it's going to get as a long-term upgrade. I can't imagine it will stay with the Inferno Cannon forever. It's probably okay for now against the Orcs. You know, you've got a lot of relatively high model, squishy squads here to be hurting with your cannon. But indeed, it's going to be the Plasma Cannon, Hurricane Bolter, ranged Hellfire Dreadnought. So we'll see how that fares. For now, it's failing to shoot through the line of sight blocker over here. Looks like the Purgation did get forced off, but of course this entire gen farm has been wiped out and not replaced yet by the red team. Broodwich should definitely be doing that. He's floating a tremendous amount of requisition right now. A little bit of the power farm has been replaced here for the blue team, but not the entire thing. Peter's just destroying a bit of cover for now, but soon I'm sure they will start putting in some work. Falcon needs to be very careful here. Walking into potentially double plasma cannons could be very scary for it. Could be. So you got the flank here from the Banshees. So the Terminator Librarian moves into position. He can activate that Sanctuary to push everything away. Sanctuary will of course have brilliant synergy with the Terminator Librarian. Sorry, with the Terminator Librarian. Of course it does. It is from the Terminator Librarian. A bit of a hero trade there. Brocap going in to save the day from the Apo. The Apo gets out and Brocap dies for it. But yeah, I meant that the Sanctuary has great synergy with the Grey Knight Dreadnought with this plasma cannon. If you hit... Oh, big flank coming here with the Weird Boy moving all of his boys along with Warpath. You see here giving them extra 2 speed and extra damage resistance. Trying to get in the retreat path. Looks for now like he's just going to be going for the gens and a decap on the VP. Quite important for the red team actually to be focusing these VPs. They're falling very far behind in VPs, and wow, look at this, the Falcon actually went down, presumably from this conversion beamer side cannon. Jesus, conversion beamer purgation squad. A lot of ratting about, not really committing to major fights here. Certainly not really seeing a big 2v2 army versus army fight yet. Full gen farm taken out, the rest of the squad just going to be moving away. Bleeding a model or two to this Hellfire Dreadnought, chasing it. Where are the ASM? Okay, the ASM are rotating over. They'll be very useful against this blob. Could do with a bit of support though. What's the, Terminator Librarians capping down there? That's not ideal actually. But the flank here from the Orcs might, indeed it does result in the end of that Purgation squad. No major losses really for Blood Rain from that either, so that's nice. Just a couple of boy models getting bled, nothing too serious. And a scrap ensuing here between the Farseer and the Banshees. Merciless Strike is going to mostly miss. I mean, I guess it did hit, but it could have been a cleaner hit, to say the least. Nice hit there. And looks like Inekura actually used Mind Blaze down here on the Strike Squad to give them their extra melee skill. Yet nonetheless they actually lost to the Storm Boys, who only have 60 melee skill on the boys and 70 on the knob. So these guys would have been 80 melee skill. So they shouldn't really be losing that fight, but of course it is RNG. I guess he got unlucky. Didn't proc his specials. So it was a tricky fight that, the Grey Knight units versus the Storm Boys, because of that power melee that the Storm Boys do. they will out DPS them. Like, you can beat the sluggers pretty handily because only the knob does power melee, and I guess the burners. But with the storm boys, all the models are doing power melee. So, well, not the knob, but all the boys. It's a lot of DPS. A lot of DPS. Now, this would be a juicy target for a plasma cannon shot or two, but looks like they're not facing the correct direction at the moment. Massive VP lead right now for the blue team. Red team are going to need to make some serious plays if they want to stay in this game. This is an absolutely gigantic VP lead, and as I said before, this is very much a map where the VPs are super important late game. But you know, with tools like this, P-Devs and Plasma Dreadnoughts, there's definitely a lot of options here for the blue team to be defending the VP. Maybe a Assault Cannon Dreadnought eventually as well. Can the Death Dread turn around? Oh, it doesn't even matter, Jesus. I was going to say, can the Death Dread turn around and finish off the Auto Malleus Librarian, but going to kill him anyway. ASM going to be jumping into the Slugger Boys. The VPs are still ticking down for the red team. Blood Rain needs to get out of here, just way too many things attacking him from the side right now. Death Dread just going to be meleeing the Grey Knight Dreadnought, which can't actually do anything in return because it's got no melee weapons right now. It's a full Hellfire ranged variant. And man, it is taking a lot of damage from this Death Dread. Of course it has no melee resist. Gonna get some repairs from the IST here, but the Dreadnought then can focus the IST. It'll kill him very fast. We do have another vehicle coming out right now, another Dreadnought. Wait, seriously? Double Plasma Cannon Dreadnoughts? Are you serious right now? Is this real life? I do not remember when I last seen this. This is quite something. 300 power invested into Dreadnoughts right now. Dreadnoughts that can't fight in melee. Could you imagine? 300 power invested into Dreadnoughts that can't fight in melee? I think Inekura may be doing a little bit of trolling, but we'll see. Dark Reapers and an Autak are the tier 2 purchases for Broodwich. Autak's going to be getting her Executioner Blade. So more power melee DPS to try and deal with the ASM and the Strike Squad in melee, I suppose. There have been a lot of melee brawls over there. Where was that grenade? Over here. Dodged by the Guardians. Or perhaps the grenade was thrown by the Guardians onto the Scouts. Yeah, it looks like that was the case. The Guardians are the ones low on energy, not the Scouts. So, killed a couple of Scouts, didn't wipe the squad though. Riku are going to be rotating his forces over here, but the problem is now there's nothing really able to take the mid. What is protecting it? You've got Dark Reapers on the elevation. That's about it, but yeah, the only capping unit right now is the IST, which from repair duties the Brocap will be coming. Brocap could decap it under the fire of Dark Reapers, but perhaps not with Shooter Boys as well. I don't know what that was. Just shooting his own guys right now. But here comes the push. So you got these double Hellfire Dreadnoughts, but looks like they're getting suppressed by the Hurricane Bolters. I didn't even realize they did suppression. I guess if you've got two of them, they become enough to do suppression. Here we go, we finally got a big army versus army 2v2 fight. ASM engaging quite nicely there. What have they forced off? Well, the Banshees are retreating already. Shooter Boys look like they might be dying. There's damage over time coming in here from the Stern Guard. A lot of focus fire on the ASM is going to get rid of them, and a beautiful Warp Vomit going to disrupt the rest of this Apo blob. Swamp them activated on the Slugger Boys, so they have extra speed to close in on those Stern Guard very fast. And there is indeed a Bright Lance set up in the back there to dissuade the Dreadnought from staying in melee for too long. Meanwhile, you've got the Farseer and the Autark just harassing these Dreadnoughts. As long as you're hitting these things in melee, even if you're not doing any realistic amount of damage, you will stop them from being able to shoot. So if you just want to shut them up for a bit, just get your hero to slap them a little bit. It doesn't matter if your hero is not doing any damage, it will stop them shooting. And right now the problem for the blue team, well, for a start, they don't have the VP, but one of the problems is that they're really lacking repair support right now. Capping down the side with the P-Dev is a little bit strange. Guess wants to rotate down the Scout over this side to get the repairs going. Yeah, only 2 repair units between them is not ideal when you got 3 walkers. There's a lot of vehicle HP to try and heal. Sandu Chioba are going to be going for a... Oh, I was going to say a second Death Dread. That would be Pretty wild, but no, we're going to be swapping it for a tank buster, which makes a little bit more sense, given that there are triple walkers on the field. Note the beamy, I always want to call them beamies, the conversion beamer in the background here to protect against any walkers, so that would dissuade this Wraith Lord from coming in and just try and chop up these Dreadnoughts in melee. I don't know why the Dreadnoughts are getting so close though. Nice guided Bright Lance here, look at the range on that thing. 30% extra damage and 30% extra range thanks to that guide. Going to be doing quite some damage. Absolutely gigantic. Well, not really. I was going to say a gigantic flank. It's not a gigantic flank. It's a flank from the ASM into a gigantic blob. So quite brave from those ASM, but they're going to get routed quite quick, especially when Doom's dropped on them. But whoa, man, double plasma cannon hits here from the Dreads. Nearly wipes the Dark Reapers instantly. Fortunately, they are actually heavy infantry Dark Reapers, so they can't take damage over time from the Stern Guard, who also flanked. What is that in the middle here? We've got the Apothecary, and now the Stern Guard have to retreat, tied up by the Death Dread. But man, these Plasma Cannon Dreadnoughts are putting in some work, force off the Guardians here. We've got the AV setup teams from both teams trading shots onto the Walkers. But I guess the presence of this... Oh, now it's an Assault Cannon Dreadnought. I was going to say the presence of this melee Dreadnought is really deterring the red team from running in and trying to actually engage in melee. But it is no longer a melee Dreadnought, so it no longer has its splash damage in melee, and more importantly, it no longer has its Emperor's Fist ability, that AoE damage and stun.
We have 200 points remaining.
I guess red team for now, they can kind of chill. They've got the time. Farsight going down here. That's how they're detecting these scouts, even though they're meant to be infiltrated. And good use of attack ground as well from the weird boy here of Sandu. So even though he couldn't see the scouts, he knew they were decapping, and he predicted where they'd be, knocked them over, prevented the decap. So Sandu is calling to go. Go in the mid. Push them back, I guess. Don't know. I mean, it's not a terrible spot for them because they do have the VP, so they don't need to push right now. Oh, look at this again. Must be Farsight plus Guide. Wow. Taking out that Plasma Dread. I mean, the range is just insane. You can see here, even with the normal Bright Lance, that wouldn't be enough range, so it was clearly guided. So, but you normally wouldn't have line of sight, so they must be using Farsight to get the line of sight. Very good players there from Broodwich. Not a whole lot going on this side. Orc Melee went in for a bit, but deterred by the Space Marines with the Apothecary support. Nice hit from the P Dreadnought, though. Along with the Brother Captain that takes out the Bright Lance, but the Death Dread's going to be dealing with Brocat. And they're going to run into melee now with the double Death Dreads. Indeed, he did go for double Death Dreads in the end, not Tank Busters. The Beamer is still in the background, though. Could sort of snare the Dreadnought. Now, obviously, the Hellfire Dreadnought can't fight back. The Space Marine Dreadnought can fight back a little bit, but it doesn't have melee resist, unlike the Death Dreads, so it will lose that fight. So yeah, they gotta back off to some AV, some proper AV. Scouts here in a bit of trouble. Ortak hacking away. Wraith Lord potentially in retreat path. Nope. Ortak gonna fleet. Doesn't need to. She gets her melee charge proc, and that's gonna be a wipe Scout squad. And that's actually a big deal. There's a lot of repair support needed still. And now there's only one repair unit. But it looks like the Dreadnoughts will survive, retreating to the safety of the Beamer, which can of course snare these vehicles. It does. And the thing to know is that the blue team are in tier 3 with a little bit of a VP lead. The VPs are definitely catching up on them at this point. Yeah, red team saying they're going to hold mid. Well, Broodwich saying that. Sandu Chioba's a little bit further forward, trying to prevent any sort of recapture of the natural VP for the blue team to make these final 100 VPs that the blue team have drain a bit faster. The Bright Lance getting wiped is kind of huge for the blue team. That thing was causing serious problems with the guide from the Farseer against their ranged walkers. Definitely worth it to lose the Brother Captain there, but I assume Inekura is going to be calling in some Paladins. Perhaps not though, but he does have red for a nuke, and orbital bombardment right now could be deadly into, let's say, Terminators or something. Terminators not costing red, but Paladins do. Doesn't currently have the red for both Paladins and a orbital bombardment. And he's going to be spending the red right now on Mind Blades and Canticle of Absolution, which is quite brave. With the Banshees coming in addition to the Farseer, that's terrible engagement for the Strike Squad, and they are forced off in spite of the red usage. Perhaps not the best red usage. It's going to be ranged Terminators here for Dark Riku, but they probably want to get back right now. They've got no melee resist. They're the only unit in the entire Space Marine roster with no melee resist. They're very tanky, but come on. Way too much melee right now, and I think the sheer spam of melee here from the red team is going to really overwhelm this heavy ranged composition for the blue team. Stormboy's tying up the Hellfire. The Death Dread, honestly, done amazing. Where's the other Death Dread? It's kind of just idle right now. Really should be involved. Needs to be hacking away at this Assault Cannon Dreadnought. Looks like the Assault Cannon Dreadnought might take out the Death Dread before it dies. Yeah, it will. It's going to get killed by the Wraith Lord. Beautiful sync kill. Boop. I love the Wraith Lord just pushing over the carcass of the Dreadnought at the end there. Is this Paladin now? Yeah, so the Paladins come in, but I don't know how much they're going to do. Man, they have some... What on earth? What was that? I don't know what those Paladins are trying to say, but you see the Doombringer there on the Paladins means they are taking some serious damage right now. They were trying to finish off the Death Dread, but not really going to work. And Time Field into an Eldritch Storm, yikes. Yeah, these Paladins are kind of screwed. Eldritch Storm did manage to clip that Grey Knight Hellfire Dreadnought. Wraithlord's going to prioritize the Paladins. One more hit and he will kill it. Doesn't matter, Stormboy's jumping in, they can finish it off. Red team are going to win this, I think. We got some sneaky backcapping going on over here, but I don't think it's good enough. ASM are doing it, but yeah, level 3 Howling Banshees, level 3 Autark. We'll be able to deal with this ASM squad even with a nice Merciless Strike coming down with the Banshees. I don't think it's enough. Nah. And they can't hold their main at the moment. We've got a battle wagon on the way for the Orcs. I mean, yeah, that's a little bit excessive and a very strange choice given the lack of VPs. I would not be waiting all that time for a battle wagon, but sure. Angels of Death going down now, but feels like way too little too late. I mean, Sternguard are not back immune while this is active, so they're just tanking. They will get the cap, but now they're probably going to get wiped and retreat by Banshees, if not very close. Scouts just running up the top to go for the Autark, but the VPs are still too high. Even if you prevented that cap for a few seconds, there's plenty of time for the red team to capture the VPs, but it doesn't matter. The red team have took the natural down here as well. Banshees nearly wiped the Sternguard. Yeah, this is done. Yeah, running out of VPs for the blue team. So there you go. Xenos actually beat the sweaty Marine tryhards in the 2v2. You love to see it. You love to see it. Really nice guide usage here from the Farseer, and good Dooms too. Really just good Farseer play, you know. Good Farsight globals to get sight. Nice swap to the time field armor in the late game. Put in a lot of work with that ability for sure. Got a lot of value. Not much more that needs to be said there. And I don't know about Sandu Chioba's mech boy. That was a bit more questionable. Death Gun from the start was a little bit strange against the brother captain, who is suppression immune, but yeah, I don't know. What I will say is the Death Dreads did amazing. They did great. So cheap, so spammable, and a really good counter to ranged walkers actually. You like to see it. Hope you did enjoy this, guys. If you did enjoy the 2v2 content, please let me know down below. It takes me a little bit more time to find the 2v2 replays because people don't really send them in, and it's difficult finding good ones. Of course, if you yourself have any decent 2v2 replays, please send them in. I won't cast 3v3, it's too chaotic, but I will cast 2v2, especially if they're on some eccentric maps or you've got some eccentric strats. And there is no moratorium on Space Marine replays for 2v2. So send in your replays regardless of what you're playing. Thank you for tuning in, folks. That is all from your boy Torpid. This time, Torpid out.